battleship killer inside the cockpit of the legendary Fairey Swordfish. The Fairey Swordfish looked outdated the moment it first flew, but this slow, open cockpit biplane became one of World War II's most surprising heroes. Today, we dive deep into its cockpit, missions, and how it earned its battleship killer legend. The Fairey Swordfish looks out of place the moment it appears in the sky. Wide wings wrapped in fabric, wheels that never fold away, and cockpits left open to the weather make it feel like a relic from another age. Pilots called it the string bag, a nickname drawn from the web of wires holding its wings together. The name also reflected how much the aircraft could carry. It seemed able to haul almost anything beneath its wings. Nothing about the Swordfish suggests speed or grace. Everything about it speaks to patience, balance, and endurance. Most people expect warplanes to look sharp and fast. They imagine aircraft built to strike and vanish before danger arrives. The Swordfish breaks that image completely. It moved slowly and showed every part of its structure. Its crew had little protection. Enemy gunners could see it coming long before it reached its target. Even so, it carried torpedoes powerful enough to cripple the largest warships afloat. That contradiction sits at the center of its story. An aircraft that looked unfit for modern war helped redefine naval combat. The Swordfish did not begin as an act of desperation. Its design came from a practical request in the early 1930s. The British Admiralty wanted one aircraft that could handle many naval duties. It needed to search ahead of the fleet, track enemy ships, guide naval gunfire, carry bombs, and deliver torpedoes. Fairey Aviation responded with a design that favored steadiness over speed. The prototype first flew in 1934. The aircraft entered service 2 years later. Even then, it already looked old. Many pilots believed it would be replaced once combat began. Training on the Swordfish emphasized discipline and precision. Pilots learned to fly low and slow over water. Many missions took place at night or in poor weather. Torpedo attacks required exact height and speed. A mistake of only a few seconds could cause failure. Crews are trained to work as a unit. Each member handled navigation, observation, or defense. That teamwork became critical once the aircraft entered combat. This preparation faced its first true test at Taranto harbor in November 1940. The Italian fleet sat at anchor, protected by anti-aircraft guns, barrage balloons, and torpedo nets. Confidence ran high among the crews there. Few believed an air attack could succeed. Far from the harbor, 21 Swordfish lifted off from a British carrier under cover of darkness. Each aircraft carried a torpedo. Each crew knew how exposed they would be. The Swordfish flew in low, staying close to the water to avoid early detection. Pilots held steady courses toward rows of battleships inside the harbor. There was no room to maneuver once the run began. Torpedoes dropped cleanly and entered the water with little warning. Confusion spread quickly. Explosions tore through hulls never meant to face air attack in shallow water. Fires broke out. Ships began to list. In less than an hour, 3 Italian battleships lay damaged or sinking. The raid stunned naval planners around the world. That lesson carried forward into the Swordfish's most famous mission. The German battleship Bismarck had just sunk HMS Hood and disappeared into the Atlantic. The loss sent shock through Britain. The Royal Navy launched a full pursuit. Time mattered. Swordfish crews launched from Victorious and Ark Royal in harsh conditions. Weather battered the aircraft. Visibility dropped. Carrier decks rose and fell during takeoff. The Swordfish found Bismarck through cloud and spray. The aircraft flew straight into heavy fire. Anti-aircraft shells burst around the slow-moving biplanes. One torpedo struck near the stern. The explosion did not sink the ship. Instead, it caused a critical failure. Bismarck's rudder jammed. The battleship could no longer steer. Speed and firepower no longer mattered. British surface ships closed in and finished the battle. The Swordfish had not sunk Bismarck alone, yet it decided the outcome. Life aboard the Swordfish placed constant demands on its crews. Cockpits stayed open in every season. Cold air, rain, and sea spray soaked clothing. Hands stiffened during long flights. Communication relied on hand signals and shouted words. Instruments offered only basic readings. Torpedo runs required long, straight approaches toward enemy guns. Once committed, there was no turning away. Pilots depended on calm judgment, not protection. As the war continued, the Swordfish moved into a quieter but vital role. German submarines threatened supply lines across the Atlantic and Arctic. The aircraft shifted to patrol and escort duties. These missions demanded long hours and steady focus. Crews scanned the water for brief signs of movement. One sighting could save a convoy. Depth charges and rockets allowed the Swordfish to strike when a target appeared. Convoy escorts depended heavily on the Swordfish. Short carrier decks and rough seas limited other aircraft. Its slow speed allowed careful search patterns and close observation. Newer aircraft entered service with greater speed and power. Still, the Swordfish remained. It flew when others could not. It continued operating when alternatives fell short. Looking back, the Fairey Swordfish shows how results matter more than appearances. The aircraft entered the war already behind the times. It still delivered when timing mattered most. Taranto proved air power could reach guarded harbors. The hunt for Bismarck showed that even the largest battleship could be stopped from the air. Years of patrol work kept supply routes open during the war's most dangerous periods. The Swordfish also changed how pilots and commanders viewed risk. Flying meant accepting exposure. Crews understood survival depended on discipline and trust. Steady hands mattered more than speed. This thinking influenced naval aviation long after the Swordfish left frontline service. Production continued throughout the war. Changes supported new roles. Some aircraft gained radar for night patrols and poor weather. Others carried rockets instead of torpedoes. These updates never changed the aircraft's core character. The structure remained simple and repairable, even in harsh conditions. Service life often meant long stretches of routine. Escort missions required patience. Action arrived without warning. A shadow beneath the surface could change everything. These moments rarely made headlines. They kept supply ships moving. Even near the war's end, when faster aircraft filled the skies, the Swordfish remained in service. It flew from escort carriers and shore bases. Reliability mattered more than speed. Crews trusted it to bring them home. Behind every mission stood people willing to fly without illusions of safety. Pilots, observers, and gunners climbed into open cockpits, knowing survival depended on judgment. Their confidence came from training and shared purpose. The Swordfish became part of that mindset. The legacy of the Fairey Swordfish does not rest on technical brilliance. It rests on timing, purpose, and execution. Its story shows that progress does not always arrive polished. Sometimes it arrives wrapped in fabric, moving slowly, and proving its worth one mission at a time. Behind every mission stood crews exposed to cold, wind, and gunfire, trusting a fabric-covered biplane to bring them home. Their skill and discipline turned a modest design into a lasting symbol. The Swordfish mattered because it arrived when needed and completed its task without display or complaint. Few aircraft have left such a quiet and enduring mark on naval history. The story of the Fairey Swordfish carries a simple lesson. Success does not always belong to the fastest or the newest machine. Sometimes it belongs to the one who shows up ready, holds steady under pressure, and finishes the job when others doubt it can. If this journey into one of World War II's most unlikely legends held your attention, subscribe for more stories from aviation history and share which aircraft deserves the spotlight next.